dementia can be not only prevented, but even less well known, improved, and even in some cases, it's been shown to be reversed through these protocols, through supplements, through some pretty cool peptides. I'll share a little bit about that, but there is hope. And like I said, hits right close to home for me. I have the Apo E4 allele, and I'm going to be surfing till 100 plus. And thank goodness, one of the most powerful things you could ever do is exercise, daily exercise. Move your body in whatever which way you can do it. Last week, I was surfing amazing waves at Tavarua, the famous surf spot, Cloud Break, which I'm so pumped to share. It's actually a left reef break. I'm a goofy footer, so for those of you that understand the lingo, that means I'm facing the wave, which is super cool, especially when you pull into that big wide open shack that's called the barrel or the tube, the cylinder, that open tubular thing, the barrel we call it. And I got tucked into a couple of those that were well over my head and just standing tall. And it was amazing. What a cool spot. But exercise is literally one of the most effective things. There's been a lot of research done. I shared a couple of studies a few months ago. It's been almost a year since I podcasted on this topic. And I shared a few studies that show the significant impact of daily or very regular exercise in not only preventing dementia, but actually you can grow your brain, grow your mental capacity at any age, even in your 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, if you do exercise. It actually increases the growth of that hippocampal area, which is one that is primarily targeted with dementia, which is responsible for memory. As you'll recall, one of the first things people start to notice in family members or those that may have this is they start to forget things, start to forget where they put their keys or forget how to get home, or lots of, even when it gets more severe, they can forget even family members' names, which is super tragic. But exercise literally is the most potent thing that I'm aware of that can actually grow the brain. And the cool way it does it, actually, exercise in and of itself, I mean, if they could encapsulate it, it would literally be the number one blockbuster pill of all times. It would be the bestseller for the ages. But so far, they're trying. Trust me, they are trying every day. They are trying to come up with exercise in a pill, but I don't know why you'd want that. I mean, I think it feels freaking awesome to move your body. I literally was swamped today, had a lot going on. Monday, a crazy week. I'm traveling across the country to work for several weeks in Florida. I got lots of work coming up. I have a big launch coming up. Many of you guys and gals have heard of. I have a very cool program, 12-week, reverse your biologic age by up to a decade, maybe more. I've personally reduced my biologic age by almost 2 decades. And I have a program that's going to be coming out in the next few weeks, as well as a concierge medical practice where we are focusing on performance, longevity, and just some cool stuff, getting younger and just faster, stronger, more intellectually smart, sharp, getting rid of this brain fog. It's a cool program. But busy times coming up. And today I was just feeling a little bit overwhelmed. I was doing a bunch of stuff, getting ready for this trip, and I needed a little a little boost, if you will, in both my overall mood, my energy levels. And what did I do? I went out there and I hiked up a mountain post holing, because this resort's been closed, this area at least, for about a month now. And we were post holing up this mountain. And for those of you that don't know, that is when there's powder and you take a step and you sink a foot or so, we call that post holing, which is exhausting. I'm just going to say, like, it's a 1,500-foot elevation gain, even on a day with no snow. And it's a challenging hike, even in the summer. I do it in the summer. It's one of my favorites. You climb the top of this mountain and you get a 10,000 plus view of the area. It's amazing. You start about 8,500 feet. It's about 1,500 feet of elevation gain. Amazing. But we did it in the snow, post holing. With no trail. My kids and I broke the trail. There hadn't been anybody up there really. And we went up above the lift because why not, right? We climbed up above the lift a little ways and we had this epic run. But exercise is literally one of the best things for not only preventing, but in some ways can help reverse dementia because you can grow new neurons. It's been shown literally at any age. At any age. There's lots of research behind this. You can message me. I can share with you a couple of papers. I shared a few back about a year ago when I podcasted on this topic, but it literally releases one of my favorite hormones, messengers, if you will, called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which is literally like a miracle grow for the brain. I'm saying in air quotes here on YouTube because miracle grow for the brain is possible and it's natural, and you can get it with daily movement, with exercise like what I did today, which was certainly cardiovascular. I was huffing and puffing, between 8,500 some odd feet up to 10,000 feet. There's a little bit less oxygen up here. I was huffing and puffing a bit, so it's pretty aerobic and cardiovascular, if you will. But I also, last night, I was pumping some free weights. I just got these new free weights that are over 60 pounds in each hand, and I'm pumping those up. And I got my boys home, and I got several teenagers, a 19-year-old, 17-year-old, 15-year-old, and none of them can lift as much weight as I can. And I'm, triple their age almost. And so I'm feeling pretty good about my capacity, but I want to build that because one of the things that as we age is a marker for not only our overall health and well-being, but bone health as well, our muscular health, which is truly our metabolic health. It's like the machinery, if you will, that will keep us young forever, having good muscle mass. Because after the age of 40, every decade after that, people are losing 15, 20% of their muscle mass per decade, depending on if they just sit on the couch all day or even if they just sit at work, which is why I'm standing here podcasting to you. I'm doing some air squats. I'm standing up. I literally, I have this watch on. I was using it today because it monitors my steps. And even though I hadn't even gotten outside, I was standing to work and just kind of moving my body throughout the day. I had like 6,000 steps just at the end of my workday without even leaving the house, without doing anything. And then I more than doubled that with my little escapade up the mountain this afternoon. But movement is that secret sauce, and putting resistance training into it, or what we used to call pumping iron or just lifting weights, is literally the key, because increasing your muscle mass can be your secret weapon, especially as you age, not only for your overall energy, vitality, youthfulness, your chutzpah, if you will, and just vitality, but also for your metabolic machinery. Did you know that you can actually grow more mitochondria? Yeah, those little organelles that maybe used to be bacteria that we enveloped into our cells, and now they power us up. They're like the power plants of the cell, and we have them literally in every cell throughout the body except not the red blood cell, because those are pretty temporary cells. They carry the oxygen and the hemoglobin apparatus. But every other cell, including fat, can have mitochondria. And they're so important because without them, we don't exist. We literally would die. That's what produces our energy, the so-called energy currency of the cell, the ATP, the adenosine triphosphate, comes from the reactions that occur in the mitochondria, which is actually now it's all in vogue. People are talking about how to increase the number of these mitochondria and brown, if you will, brown the fat, the browning of fat. Maybe you've heard of it. People are doing cold plunging. They're doing all kinds of fun things, sauna as well, exercise, resistance training. They're trying to increase the number of mitochondria, not only in the muscles, but also in the fat. And that's called browning, because they kind of look at orangish reddish color under the microscope, and you put a bunch more of those in a cell that's mostly clear looking. Like if you ever look at a fat cell, it looks like you see this kind of cell membrane, the lining, when they stain it, it's kind of a pink color, and the rest of the cell just looks like empty space. It's kind of clearish. But then as you put a bunch of mitochondria in there, the whole thing looks a little bit more brown, and they call it browning of the fat, which is actually, in babies, we're born with actually more mitochondria in our fat cells, and we kind of lose them with age because we're not being super active, a lot of us. And so we can turn that around by movement, by what we call hormesis. Hormesis, which is stress that doesn't kill you, makes you stronger, right? And environmental hormesis is like extreme cold, like cold plunging. Just going to share a quick anecdote. I was in Fiji and went to this amazing spa in Fiji, which had a cold plunge. It had a sauna as well, which personally, I don't know. I love sauna a little bit more than cold plunge, but I was doing them both, and I was feeling pretty good. I was doing like 10 minutes in the cold plunge, and I would do sauna too, not at the same time or not right after each other, but doing them both in their appropriate time. And it was invigorating, especially the cold plunge. Like, it was crazy. Like, I'd get out of there. I wouldn't even go in the sauna to warm up or anything. I'd just get out of there and just stand kind of in the, Superman, Superwoman, Batgirl what are they, Wonder Woman pose, hands on the hips, just kind of stand there, do some deep breathing, and just in like 5 minutes, I'd be totally reheated without even getting in the hot tub, getting in the sauna, any of that. Amazing how when you brown your fat, you can generate heat. Super cool thing. You should try cold plunging. I'm not going to lie. When I do it, I don't want to do it. I don't want to get in. But once I do get in, like, holy crap, if you just breathe through it, it's actually not too bad. Breathe through it, kind of get into your Zen mode. I close my eyes. I kind of have some meditative, thoughts and just kind of relax. And before I know it, like 10 minutes has gone by. And I'm like, whoa, get out of there, warm myself up just with the Superman pose, Wonder Woman pose, whatever you want to call it, like literally just standing there without even putting, towel or robe or anything, just letting my body heat up. And it worked pretty awesome. Felt great. I'm actually thinking about seeing what I can do to either get one or get to a gym who, that where they have one, because I love how I feel afterwards. The activation energy is a little high. Get there. I never love like first getting in, but I love how I feel after. So this is one of those things that can brown the fat. It's an environmental hormesis, which is the stress that doesn't kill you, makes you stronger kind of thing, and helps with generating more mitochondria, which just help invigorate your body. I mean, your vitality goes through the roof. Like if you're having a little bit of a slow afternoon, my first recommendation is just get up and move. Do 1 minute of air squats, a plank, whatever you like, burpees. Just put on your favorite song, dance to it for 3 to 5 minutes, whatever the song is. And that'll invigorate you. Like you'll feel amazing. Like we did a dance party tonight with my girls. It was awesome. They were showing me some dance moves, like it was like hip hop and rap, and I'm like looking as goofy as all get out, but they were looking smooth dancing there with my wife, the three of them just crushing it. And that's a simple way to increase your energy level, is just simple movement. So movement is key. Resistance training, that exercise, literally, if they can encapsulate it, we can grow our brains. I mean, you can do this. Simple, easy. Message me and I'll help you with a couple of simple steps you can do. But just movement, move your body. Maybe get a standing desk like I do. I got my computer sitting on like 7 or 8 books right now. It works amazing. Movement, movement, movement. Other environmental hormesis like cold plunge is awesome. Sauna, I'm just going to say, is my personal favorite. Like I just love sauna. And actually, interestingly enough, sauna has actually been shown to prevent dementia and help to reverse it as well. Sauna is amazing. It helps release this thing called heat shock protein. And at the end of the day, it's super anti-inflammatory. Like one of the biggest causes of dementia is kind of like they're calling it nowadays, and you probably heard this maybe by some health influencer. It's sometimes been referred to as type 3 diabetes because it's getting to be way too common. In fact, right now they think at least 6 million Americans either have it or will be soon diagnosed. And by 2050, that number is going to be up to 12 million Americans. But that can change. We can change this. We can change this. You can change this by what you do, by how you educate your children, your family. Like share this out, share this podcast out. If you have the Apo E4 allele like I do, like this is going to be top of mind. Like you're going to be like, crap, I do not want to lose my mind. Like, oh my gosh, not what I want to do. I want to stay active and sharp till 100 plus. And this is literally Dale Bredesen's goal: get people sharp to 100 plus. And I'm signing up, like I'm doing it. But one of the things that can help not only prevent, but reverse and treat, ameliorate, reduce even the existence of cognitive impairment, mild cognitive impairment, or early dementia is sauna. In fact, I'm going to get another sauna. I had a sauna for a few months and the location just didn't really make sense. We didn't have room for it in the little place that we're in. And so we put it out in the garage, and it was up in the mountains, and our garage is like 40 degrees, sometimes even colder in the winter. And we just couldn't get it up to temperature. It just, I don't know. We needed one of those Finlandia ones, like the ones they've been using in Finland and Sweden and Norway and these places that can bust out the 180-degree temperatures. Like this thing couldn't get above like 140. It was like, and that would take like 8 hours. So I got rid of it. It wasn't working. But I actually just had my mom get one, and she's got one in her place, and it's infrared. So infrared doesn't actually have to get as hot because it kind of like, I hate to say this, it kind of cooks you a little bit inside out. I mean, it warms you up. These heater It has kind of like these panels in there, and these heater panels, like they get you pretty, they get the body temp up. So it's been shown in the data that these don't actually have to get as hot ambient, like 145 in infrared is kind of equivalent to like 165, 170 in the typical heat sauna, like the ones in Finland, Norway, Sweden that have been studied more than any place in the whole wide world. Like they have so much data. In fact, 4 days a week is the minimum that you start to see benefit, not only with dementia prevention treatment and help, but cardiovascular death. 4 days a week, 50% cut in half, basically cut in half. If you increase that to 6 days a week, I'm telling my mom, like literally get in there 7 freaking days a week if you can, like 20 minutes at the max temp, which is around 140 or so, but it's the infrared, so it's equivalent to about 170 or so on the Finnish sauna, traditional heat sauna. 20 minutes, roughly thereabouts, 4 to 6 days a week. We're pushing 6+ days a week because not only does it feel freaking awesome, but it has been shown to both prevent heart disease, dementia, and also help to treat it, even help reverse it. So sauna is awesome. Get yourself to a sauna. My brother has this amazing testimonial where he had tremendous health benefits going to the gym every day. But his favorite part, he was working out and getting some resistance training. But actually, the thing that helped him more than anything was literally sauna in so many ways, metabolically. I mean, he shed, gosh, I gotta ask him again. I think it was over 100 pounds, and he was quite overweight, and now he's like as healthy as he's ever been, and he's not much younger than I, and I'm so proud of him. But sauna was one of the key factors, tools that he was using, and he would just get access to it at a gym. Found a gym that had one, and he was going sometimes even twice a day in the sauna. It was like so amazingly helpful for him. So I'm putting it at the top of my like ask Santa list is I want a sauna so badly, but in the meantime, I'm gonna find a gym that has one because the benefits are amazing. This heat shock protein, increíble. Like I said, reduces heart disease by 50%, dementia, significant decrease, not only in the incidence, so it can help prevent, but also with treatment, reversal, all these kinds of cool stuff. And it just feels freaking awesome. So get yourself to a sauna, super helpful. I'm going to share with you some of the uh, so-called Sweet Seven, or I forget what Dale Bredesen calls them, but he's got 7 key steps that he mentions in his Recode program, which is basically his novel approach. And Recode just stands for Reversal of Cognitive Decline. If you want to just check this study out, 2021 Biomedicines, September 29th. Great article. I mean, very readable. It's not like super in the weeds with super technical stuff, but it actually explains not only the background, why they decided to do this, but it's a very effective protocol. And it was basically showing reversal of cognitive impairment to a certain degree with this protocol. It is 7 basic things that he covers in the protocol. None of this is earth-shattering. I've spoke about all these before, but maybe a couple of little nuance items I'll bring up. But first and foremost, you can't forget the importance of your diet, right? You are what you eat, and what you eat has eaten. And not only the traditional, he's kind of into the Mediterranean diet, but he also presents this diet that many of you have probably heard about called the Mind Diet, which has the Mediterranean diet in there. It also has, it's heavy on the fresh vegetables and fruit, heavy on the plants, which I'm a fan of. Like I love all the colors and I eat the full rainbow. It's cool on proteins, especially if they're well sourced, grass-fed and finished meats, as well as well sourced fish, wild caught. Because fish has the most famous, I think, thing that we need in the diet that many of us don't get, including me. I don't get it unless I'm in Hawaii because I just don't eat it very much. Hard to get good, well-sourced fish when you're not near an ocean. And so I eat fish 3 days a week when I'm in Hawaii, and on average, they recommend 2 serving, 2 times a week. And the rest of the year that I'm not in Hawaii, I'm not really eating fish almost never. When I'm in Florida, I do because there's some locally caught fish there because you're getting your omega-3s. Super important, this thing called the omega-3 to omega-6 ratio. Right now, it's skewed to the right. In other words, towards the omega-6, which is not the good way to have it skewed. The omega-6s are mostly from all these highly processed oils. Not awesome for health, right? We talked about this a million times, the seed oils and whatnot. We want to get our omega-3 up because that's the magic. They are so anti-inflammatory, and this is basically through fish. Sometimes you can get it in some other like seaweeds and other kinds of things, but mostly it's fish. And if you can't or won't or can't get fish or eat fish, then you're going to have to take a high quality omega-3 supplement. And there's definitely some better ones than some. There's so many available because it's become super popular. They even made a medical drug out of this a few years back. Listen to my podcast on the omegas. I did a full episode on the healthy fats. I don't know, it's been a couple of years, but I really detail that out. So you definitely want to take a look at that. I get into the weeds. I talk about the medication that came out with omega-3s, which is actually not the most natural or pure or well sourced. Omega-3 that you can get, even though it comes from a pharmaceutical company, it's not the most well sourced. You can get better omega-3s out there, but super important. Even Del Bredesen mentions the importance of supplements. That's farther down the list. I think that's even number 7 on his list, which is supplementation with things like fish oil, magnesium, my favorite mineral, the mighty mineral, magnesium, zinc, potassium, iodide, choline, vitamin D, also my favorite vitamin. It's basically like a hormone vitamin, goes into the nucleus. It affects so many things. And actually, it's been shown huge volumes of data to help prevent Alzheimer's and other dementias, also heart disease as well, if you can get your vitamin D levels up. And you may have to supplement. I personally supplement both omega-3 and vitamin D year round, even if I'm getting out in the sun, because I try to stay covered, right? Like I shared with you in Tavarua, surfing cloud break, I was covered. Like I had a long sleeve rash guard on, long shorts. I mean, I just had a little bit of my body exposed, basically my hands, my feet, and my face was painted white like a clown. It was hilarious, but I didn't sunburn at all. And vitamin D is critical for not only preventing illness, keeping our immune system pumped up. It also helps decrease cancer because your immune system works so well. And all of us have some kind of low grade cancer going on in our body at any given time, but at such a low level because our immune system can kind of keep it at bay, if you will, if it's pumped, primed, and working well. And vitamin D is one of the most helpful vitamins for our immune health, for brain health. It's a fat soluble vitamin like the omegas. I mean, did you know your brain is mostly fat? Like legit, it's cholesterol primarily. And also the nerve transmissions, they have this cholesterol sheath around them, this fatty sheath called myelin. Like you got to have fat and you got to have healthy fat. And you need healthy omegas, omega-3s, as well as vitamin D. Super critical. You got to make sure you're getting enough B12. You can find that in animal meats that are well sourced, or you may need to get B12 shots or take B12 in a methylated form like methylcobalamin. And I have a form of that I take, as well as methylated folate, because the methylated version is the version your body recognizes. It's how you have it and it works. It's methylated in the body. And if you can take it already methylated, it's going to work way better, bioavailable, if you will, to do the work that it's got to do. So I skipped from food to supplements, but I can't help myself. For me, my supplements are part of my food budget. And that's the way you got to look at it. Like literally, it's part of the food budget. I would never want to go back and stop all my supplementation because I feel freaking awesome. And I feel like I'm 20 and I'm 50 plus years old and I'm sharp, I'm youthful, I got energy and the musculature to do all the things I want to do, but I couldn't do it without supplementation because another big thing is the gut and getting your gut healthy. Even Del Bredesen talks about this, and he talks about how you can do this with a high fresh vegetable and a plant-based diet with these prebiotic fibers, right? You got to have prebiotics. I take prebiotics, probiotics, postbiotics, all the things, because getting your gut healthy will also reduce your overall inflammation, because you probably heard of this thing called leaky gut, where the tight junctions in the intestinal epithelial cells, they kind of separate and you can get crap going through the gaps. And that can get you really sick, super inflammatory. But if you get your gut healthy, those tight junctions are like, as they would say, a Swiss bank account, right? At least that's what we used to say when I was a kid. I don't have a Swiss bank account, but maybe I should. I don't know. But tight, like it's not going to let anything sneak through there. It's got to go through the proper channels. And so tight junctions should be tight. And to get them tight, you got to have your gut healthy. So gut health is imperative. He talks about it through his plant-based diet. Number 2 is exercise. We already talked about that ad nauseum because I freaking love exercise. 3 is sleep. I love the part in the book Outlived by Peter Attia. He talks about brain health. He talks about Alzheimer's. And actually, the thing that he focuses on more than anything is sleep. And in fact, I used to have the mantra, and because I've shared it many times, I'll sleep when I'm dead. And I share that with Tony Robbins and many, super active people that just love to learn. I'm reading every single day. And I just, it's like I used to think time in the cot was time that I couldn't be learning something or I couldn't be, doing something, spending time with my kids or whatever. But what I found is that if I don't get the time in the cot, I don't feel awesome. And so the time that I'm spending with my kids is lower quality. The time that I'm trying to study and learn, I can't retain the information as well, because if you don't get the sleep, sleep is where those memories basically get kind of stored into the disk drives of yesterday into your head, into that storage and memory and the hippocampus, if you will. That all happens with sleep. And there's plenty of data and research that shows the less you sleep, the quicker your brain goes to pot, if you will. The quicker you forget things, the more at risk you are for dementia. It's almost like this linear correlation with less sleep equals more incidence of dementia. It's actually really scary. When I read that chapter in Peter Attia's book, I was like, holy freaking crap. Like, I was already focusing on my sleep, and I have been for about the last decade, but I was like, I need to get even more into this. I'm wearing I have a couple of different watches that monitor this. I have an Apple Watch. I have the competitor that measures your steps. I've tried a few Oura Ring. I've tried a few, all the different ones, and I love to measure it because what you, as Tony Robbins says, right, what you don't measure, you can't measure. In other words, what you're not taking stock of, what you're not monitoring, what you don't monitor, I think is the way he says it. You can't measure your progress. You can't know how you're doing if you're not monitoring it, if you're not taking stock in it, you're not keeping some data. And so I'm a big fan of the wearables. If you don't have one, to never use one, I'd say give it a whirl. Maybe bug somebody who has one to let you borrow it, or maybe your family member has one, or just grab one. They're pretty affordable nowadays. I mean, they have just the simple ones that are monitor your steps. The pedometer types, they actually do have some sleep or what they would call heart rate variability monitoring, which is really interesting stuff. Like the next thing on the list is stress. And if you want to improve the muscle that helps to optimize your stress or reverse it or improve it or manage it the best you possibly can, this is called the parasympathetic nervous system. And most all of these wearables nowadays have a way to monitor what they call HRV, which is heart rate variability. And you want to have that as variable as possible. You want to have that beat to beat variability, which shows that your parasympathetic nervous system, which is that one that allows us to be calmed and without stress and just in that kind of Zen state. And you can get there actually very quickly, even as little as 1 minute of deep breathing, that kind of guttural, that stomach breathing, if you will, where your stomach goes out and goes back in, the abdominal breathing, if you will, that parasympathetic breathing. 1 minute of that can literally increase the heart rate variability to a level that it looks like you're in full Zen state in 1 minute. So that's my quick go-to. If I can't jump out the door and start doing some exercise, if I'm in a very stressful state, I'll literally just excuse myself to the bathroom, put the lid, the seat and all that down, and I just sit there on the toilet. I don't have to go. I just sit there, close my eyes, put my hand over my heart, do 8 to 12 deep breaths. So that's anywhere between 1 and 2 minutes, depending on how long I'm savoring each breath. And that literally gets me in a Zen state in less than 2 minutes. And it's been shown on the wearable to work that well. So try them out, try a wearable. In fact, what's super cool is in my concierge practice, part of it is going to be with wearables. And we're going to get the data, we're going to monitor it, we're going to improve it, execute, get all the things, because you can't monitor what you're not measuring. So make sure you check it out. So sleep, stress, there's this thing called the brain training, if you will. And there's all kinds of ways to do this. There's several programs that are out there. I mean, I would just say do something that challenges you. Like, I'm not going to sit on the computer and do some silly program. I'm trying to get off the computer. I love to reading books. I'm actually trying to improve my musical skills. I got kids who are just expert musicians. I played the piano as a kid, and I'm trying to increase my skills with that, as well as guitar. I got a couple of my kids playing guitar too. Now it's hard. We're like fighting over. I got to get myself another guitar because they took over mine. They're like, Dad, you're not playing it every day. So we're going to play it, which I'm super stoked about. But I got to get back to playing again, because the instruments, learning new things, learning a new language. In fact, this summer, my wife and I are going to be in Croatia and also Italy. And I used to speak almost fluent Italian. Haven't spoken it in 20 years. Last time I was in Italy was before my son, who's turning 19 in a couple of weeks, before he was even born. So it's been about 20 years since I've been to Italy, but I was like rapping almost fluently. And so I'm going to be up in my game and practicing before I go. I freaking love Italian anyway. If you haven't heard it or spoken it, it's like so fun. I feel like it's musical. Like it just makes you smile to speak Italian. And I speak Spanish fluently as well. And that it's fun to speak. And I don't know, somehow Italian, just I think the sing-songy nature is super fun. So learning a language, no matter what age of life you're in, learn a language, learn a new skill, play a new instrument that you've never played before, pick up a new sport. I was sharing with you a while back that I picked up two sports in the last couple of years. Skiing is one I never skied before. I've been snowboarding my whole life, but I started skiing because my youngest boy was patient enough to teach me. And I love skiing now because now I can ski with my two little girls, ski with my wife, super fun. I also picked up a kind of a fun board sport that I thought I would never, in fact, I swore I would never do. It's called rip sticking because it's got only two wheels and you got to kind of swivel. And I don't know how many 50-year-olds have you seen do that? Like, I've never seen one. And so I was a little nervous to start, but I did throw on pads head to toe, helmet first and foremost, because actually that's one of the things you can do to help prevent dementia is put on a stinking helmet. Head trauma can increase your risk of dementia. Head injury, head trauma. It can be from stupid, silly, what I would call in the ER, the GLF, the ground level fall, like silly stuff, like just pay attention to how you get up and out and step off curbs and these kind of things. And when you increase your musculature and also train your body with balance, which I'm actually doing more of, I've started a new yoga program because I want to be limber, flexible, and able to serve to 100 plus, but also your balance is so critical because then you can prevent falls. Falls are literally the demise of so many elderly folks. They fall, break a hip, within a year, they're dead. 50% of them, boom. It's like, what? How does that happen? It happens when you get debilitated because you stay in all day. You stay on the couch. You're not getting up and walking. You're not training your body to stay active, which is why you see these folks at the parks that are usually from Japan or elsewhere where they're doing Tai Chi or what have you, 5 a.m. every morning, watching the sun come up. They're getting in nature. They're getting in community. Haven't shared about that, but that's in there somewhere. The vitamin C of community. You do things in community. That's also going to increase your brain health because being alone and lonely, loneliness, it's one of the new epidemics. And it started, I would say, to an extreme and noticeably so in COVID because of all of us confined to our own homes. We couldn't get out, we couldn't get into our groups, we couldn't do our dance classes. My wife used to teach dance classes and all kinds of yoga, Pilates, aerobics. I don't know if you guys remember step aerobics. She was like the all-star step aerobics teacher. Like community of like-minded folks moving together. It increases your accountability, increases the fun. You put some music on. And like we couldn't do these kind of things, but community is actually one of the things that can help not only prevent dementia, but help to treat it as well. So vitamin C for connection and community, brain training we talks about. The other thing I can't really get into, and I did do a podcast earlier on this, was detox. We are exposed present day to too many stinking toxins, whether it be in our water, if we don't have a good reverse osmosis filtration system, as I drink right now some spring water from Italy. Oh, I can't wait to get to Italy, man. It's going to be amazing. High quality water, high quality air. So if you got a place like this, like in the winter, the windows are closed up. You got to be replacing your filters and your heater and your AC in the summer at least once a month minimum. If you can do it every 2 weeks, even better. Do this thing called the mold test. I can send you a link to do that. I did it on my house and I was like, dude, we got to do some work here. We got to get some stuff under control. And one of the simple things is just replace that filter. I try to do every 2 weeks because you want to breathe high quality air. The other thing I do is like this time of year now that, well, yesterday was 22 degrees, but now it's going to be like 60 the rest of the week. So you can just open a window. Like the flow, the circulation, the way I view it is think of air the way you would think of water. When you see a river that's rapidly flowing, I don't know if you've ever done hiking, backpacking, you've had to like filter water and, you know, get water from some source. And in the mountains, you want to get it from the fastest running part of the stream. You don't want to get it in a pool that looks stagnant. Like that's the stuff that ain't going to be clean and it's going to have growth in it and microbes and it might even look kind of murky and gucky. Flow is what you want. And that goes with the home too. You want to have things flowing. And one of the easiest ways to do that, you just open the window, have the wind flowing through the house. This is my favorite. And this is our natural air conditioning in Hawaii. We don't have any kind of central air or anything like that. It's a little tough in the summer to have not have AC, but we open all of the windows. We have ceiling fans in every room, and you gotta, we wash those blades once a month because they can get full of stuff if you don't, and they can be spinning that crap around. So you clean the blades frequently. You got to take your um, screens out and clean those real often, once a month, or we do ours about once every 2 months, every 60 days or so. Keep those screens clean, keep the filters clean if you're in a home with AC or with heat in the winter like I am. Got to replace those things every 2 weeks to a month max. Keep the water flowing, get some kind of reverse osmosis filtration system. I also have one that I put on my countertops. We have a filtration system that goes through initially. Then we put it through this thing called the Berkey. It's like got carbon, um, and it filters it out that way. So it's nice, and it's mountain water. We actually have the blessing of having spring water here in the mountains. Hawaii, we have the most amazing high quality well water. Place we don't have amazing water is Florida. I'm not super pumped on the water there, but with filtration, you can drink high quality water because you got to watch out for the toxins that can get into your life. And the other thing is plastic, right? I generally try to drink out of glass water bottles for the most part. I'm not 100% on that. I drink out of plastic just like any of us, but I try to reduce it, mostly drink out of glass because you guys have probably heard of that, but hormonally, you can have big issues. They can be estrogen-like, if you will. They can cause a lot of issues with obesity. They call them obesogens, which can come from just plastic, just eating all our food out of plastic. I mean, if you have a microwave for crying out loud, and I have one, never heat up anything in plastic. Like I have glass things, particularly for that. I have this glass dish kind of cover thing. It's glass. I put it over the stuff so the crap's not exploding. Don't put saran wrap or anything. Get the plastic out of the microwave. Use glass when possible. Got to watch out for other toxins. You got to look under the hood, right? I don't know if you know this, but I had mercury toxicity because I was eating way too much poke in Hawaii. Like I just love poke. I love fish. I was just overdoing it for a while, and my mercury levels were up. So I had to kind of reduce my consumption to go from like 7 days a week down to like 3 days a week eating fish. And so you gotta check under the hood. You gotta check for things like the heavy metals. Also, if you live in a place like Hawaii or the South in the US and it's mold prone, and in fact, all throughout the country, I mean, the data says between like 40 and 60% of buildings, including homes, have some degree of mold in them, which is scary. So there's lots of mycotoxins out there. There's lots of things to look out for and test for. There's urinary tests. There's the tests you can do in your environment. This thing called the dust test. If you don't measure it, you can't monitor it. Like you gotta have a look. Gotta have a look. Get these things checked out. Monitor your toxin burden, and do a bunch of cool detox stuff. Most of what I love to do is just all the fluids, right? Pee a lot because you're hydrating well, poop a lot at least once a day. I would say minimum. I think it's even better if you poop like 2 or 3 times a day. Literally every time you eat something, it should trigger this thing called the gastrocolic reflex. You should be having a bowel movement within an hour of almost any time you eat, at least solid food, if you will. And that's good for you. That's one of the ways your body eliminates toxins. You poop it out, you pee it out, you sweat it out. I love to sweat. That's why sauna is so freaking awesome. I just listened to a lecture about 2 weeks ago on the power of sauna, not only for reversing heart disease, dementia, preventing all these things, 50% reduction in heart disease, as I shared, but also getting rid of toxic burdens through sauna. Sauna is so awesome. So we talked about detox a little, supplements. I breezed through that. There are some testing. I'll just end with this because I don't want to get too much into the weeds, and you can jump into one of my programs, or you can grab my book called Preventable. It's got all the basic data in there. In fact, it's got a whole chapter on supplements, my high ticket, if you will. Biggest bang for your buck is a better way to share it. What are my 5 most powerful, simple, and affordable supplements? It's all in the book. But some testing you should get done, because the key to all of this, both heart disease, dementia, and preventing them, is to decrease your inflammation. All of these are inflammatory based illnesses, including cancer. And so getting your inflammation down through movement, through these hormesis things like the cold plunge, the sauna, eating a great whole foods diet, supplementation, getting your gut super healthy, getting rid of extraneous stressors, or just learning how to optimize your stress with breathing, meditation, movement, all the things. But you got to monitor it. You got to check it. You got to check this thing called HSCRP, or highly sensitive C reactive protein. Got to check this thing called homocysteine, which The thing that benefits this significantly is so homocysteine is a marker of inflammation. It's a risk factor for heart disease. You gotta get this under control, and the way to do it is with healthy. One of the ways to do it is with healthy fats, for example, like vitamin B12 helps with this. Getting your omega 3s up, super helpful to make sure you're getting adequate supplementation and movement and all the things. But you got to check it. You got to check your homocysteine. There's a thing called TGF beta 1 that's good to check. MMP9, another good thing to check. The HOMA IR score, which is basically a measure of insulin resistance. And you just need to measure some simple things like fasting insulin, fasting glucose. Super, super simple. You get your score, lower is better. I like to get them below 1. I think in Dale Bredesen's study, he tried to get them below 2. Fasting insulin, we talked about that. And A1C, which is a measure of what your glucose would be over about a 3-month period of time. And you want this advanced lipid profile, not just the LDL level, which all the silly primary care docs focus on. They think LDL is the end all be all. It's one teensy little piece. There's so many other things you need to know. You need to know the particle size of all your lipoproteins. You need to know if they're small and dense. Those are the bad LDLs. Or if they're big and fluffy, they just kind of float along. They don't get stuck in the arteries. They're not bad. Like, you got to have them fractionated. You got to know the particle size. So many important things that you're not going to get in the standard like primary care doctor's office, but any functional medicine doc, like if you go to the website ifm.org, you can look up the guys that have at least some minimum functional medicine training. You need to get the full panel. You need to get the fractionated panel that tells you the size of the lipids, whether they're small and dense, whether they're big and fluffy. Super important to measure. Toxin exposures we talked about, and those are the basics. There's a lot more testing. Obviously, if you want to get your genes tested and see if you got the Apo E4 allele like I do, if you got 1 copy, if you got 2 copies, there's a certain percentage risk associated with that. But I've had several folks that I've worked with, folks that I know and I'm aware of that have 2 copies of the Apo E E4 allele, done amazingly well, never got dementia. So it's not the writing on the wall. You're not cursed if you have it. I personally have the ApoE4 allele, and I'm a little, it makes me, what it does is it just gives me even more impetus, even more desire, even more willpower, even more of the willingness to want to work on these things, because I want to be not only surfing to 100, but I want to be sharp, and I want to be learning new languages, playing new instruments. Maybe I'll finally learn how to do Sudoku. I don't know. I just never had the patience to do that. I'm just such an antsy guy. I'm like ADHD, always moving around, can't sit still for more than a few seconds unless I'm reading or something or chilling with my family. But I want to be able to learn new things at 100 plus. And so the time to start is today. The time to start is now. Forget about whatever led up to this. Forget about if you were like me and you slept poorly your whole life, and now you're just like, you know what? I'm going to get it cool in my bedroom. I'm going to do what I can do. I'm going to get a pad to sleep on that cools me down if you don't have central AC. I'm going to get the eye covers that if you don't have the blackout curtains, like, it's way cheaper to just buy these eye covers, the eye shades, the things that, I used to make fun of people wearing on the plane. Now I wear that thing. And I think my wife makes fun of me, but she keeps it to herself because, maybe, anyway, she's not wearing one, but I'm trying to get her to. I wear one. I even wear one in my own house sometimes because there's extraneous light if it's a full moon or whatever. Like, dark, cool, and quiet, and a routine. Like, these are the 4 principles that should be non-negotiable. Matthew Walker just gave a lecture a week ago that I had the privilege to be a part of, and those were literally the 4 things that he mentioned. The 5th was basically avoid the toxins like alcohol. Alcohol, it might get you to sleep a little quicker, but it's actually going to make your sleep more restless, I should say. It fragments your sleep. You don't get deep and you wake up more, and your sleep quality is diminished, even though you might fall asleep quicker. Alcohol, as my friend Daniel Amen says, he's one of the brightest in the brain space and brain health, if you will. Alcohol is always a poison. So if you like to have a glass of wine at night, just make it 1 glass, not 2 or 3, not the whole bottle. Like, it has ethanol in it. Ethanol is a toxic alcohol. That was one of the things I was supposed to share, and I just didn't get through the whole list. But smoking and alcohol reduce or eliminate those, increase both of them your risk for having dementia, also heart disease, and also cancer. So do your best to either eliminate or get them down to a very, 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 very low level, and start today. And if you need help, get some help. There's lots of resources out there. 1-800-QUIT now. I think for smoking, there's a bunch of resources if you need to have help with alcohol, because it is a poison. It's always a poison, always was, always will be. So reduce or eliminate and do the fun things. Move your body every day. Get great sleep. Get your stress optimized. Practice the breathing techniques we talked about. Get with community. Vitamin C for connection. So empowering, beneficial. And then, get on board with the supplements like we talked about. The big bang for your buck stuff like the omegas, vitamin D, for example, magnesium. Get your foods down to a simple single ingredient whole foods diet the majority of the time. Like simple whole foods, plant-based, all the colors of the rainbow, healthy, well-sourced protein, and you're going to be off to a great start. And if you have questions, feel free to reach out to me, message me on Facebook or Instagram, Dr. Thomas Hemingway. And grab my book if you don't have it already, Preventable: 5 Powerful Practices to Avoid Disease and Build Unshakable Health. Bestseller on Amazon, sold thousands of copies, but maybe you don't have it yet. Grab it, share it with a friend, family, relative, and make sure you share this out. Share the podcast, share the show, because I find the info that is the biggest bang for your buck, the stuff that really makes the most impact. It's where the rubber meets the road, if you will, and it's simple, it's doable, it's practical. You can start now. You can start today, and you've got this. I believe in you. You can do this. You can change your life starting today. Forget about what happened in the past. Doesn't matter. Water under the bridge. Start today. Choose one thing, then get another one a few weeks down the road once you've improved the one thing, and keep going. Work on these steps, and you won't regret it. I promise you. You'll feel great, feel more energized. And if you want to jump in, I'm going to be releasing my new course coming up in a few weeks. My concierge practice is almost ready to go for prime time. Vitality and performance, longevity, I've got you. So until next time, a big thanks from Dr. Thomas Hemingway. Love you, appreciate you. I'm so glad you're here. Share this out. I would love to hear from you. Drop me a review. And just let me know what you're loving. Let me know what you're learning. Let me know what questions you have. It's an honor and a privilege. And until next time, a big aloha. Thanks for watching, and make sure to like, subscribe, and share with a friend. These podcasts take hours of research, and taking just 2 seconds of your life to hit the like, subscribe, and share button will help a ton and get this word out to help more and more people. Thanks in advance. Mahalo and aloha.